Renting a home in Europe is actually one of the most stressful parts of relocating. Not preparing your immigration documents, but finding a place to live for yourself and your family. Unlike some countries where you can find an apartment in a single day, in Europe we usually recommend budgeting 1 to 3 months for the search. Almost everywhere you'll need a specific set of documents, a deposit, often a guarantor, and sometimes even an interview with the landlord. Today we'll break down how to rent an apartment in France, Spain, and Italy, what documents to prepare, and how to avoid the most common mistakes. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Wise Move channel. Why is renting in Europe such a long and complicated process? In most EU countries, the law strongly protects tenants. So landlords look closely at stable income, financial guarantees, your ability to pay reliably, and even references from previous landlords. The process can easily stretch to 1 to 3 months and longer in major cities. In many cases, you'll work with an agent or agency who typically charge a commission of 1 month's rent or more. What documents will you need? Proof of income, first and foremost, an employment contract, income statements, tax returns from your home country or the country you've already moved to. An important rule, in Europe, rent is generally expected to be no more than 30% of your income. If your income is lower than that, you'll almost always be asked for a guarantor. A guarantor is a person or organization that effectively agrees to cover your rent if at some point you can't pay. France, Spain, and Italy all use this system actively. A guarantor can be a resident of the country, an employer, or even a bank. And there are companies that provide guarantor services online. If you're a foreigner without a local contract or work history, having a guarantor almost always helps. You'll also need identity documents, your passport and residence permit, or proof that you've applied for one. References from previous landlords can significantly improve your chances too. France, while a very attractive country to move to, has one of the toughest rental markets. In Paris, a studio can start from around €1,000. In smaller regions, €600 to €700 a month. Renting without a guarantor is almost impossible, but France has developed a system where you can apply online and a company will act as your guarantor and issue you a guarantee letter. Many landlords require income 3 times the rent. If you rent through an agency in France, you'll usually be asked for at least 1 month's rent, plus a registration fee commission. Spain might seem like an easier market, but it has all the same challenges. Landlords often ask you to show income for the last 3 to 6 months. Sometimes they require several months' rent up front if your income is irregular. Clients have told us about having to pay 4 or 5 months in advance just to secure the specific apartment they wanted. Guarantors come up less often than in France, but they can still be required. Competition in Spain is intense. Good apartments go in 1 to 2 days, and you're often competing against thousands of other applicants for the same place. So the most important advice here is simple. Act fast. Italy, compared to France and Spain, is generally easier for renting. The lease is usually registered with the tax authority, and landlords may ask for income statements from various countries, not just European ones. So if you're applying for Italy's digital nomad visa, the documents you've already translated into Italian for your income can also come in handy when renting. One thing to keep in mind, 99% of apartments in Italy are rented through an agency, which means you'll always pay a commission, usually around 10 to 12% of the annual rent. A few tips to make the search easier. Prepare your income documents in advance. If you submitted them for your digital nomad permit, keep them and combine them into a single file you can show landlords. You'll probably still need to consider agencies. Their fees are often steep, a large percentage of the rent or deposit, but around 80% of good apartments are rented through them. Be ready to pay a deposit of 2 or 3 months, not just 1. Remember, the market moves fast. In Spain and France, you need to call about a listing almost immediately. And if you don't have local income, find a guarantor or use a service that provides one. This is a very brief overview. Every country has its own specifics, and some cities are much easier to rent in than others. We help people get residency across Europe. If you're considering a move to Spain, France, Italy, or elsewhere, book a free consultation through the link in the description. See you in the next one.